How was the return for you, man?
It was good. I feel really good. Just ironing all that stuff out, just back to being healthy, and I feel really good right now.
I liked your quote the other day after Friday's start. Obviously, people want to know, hey, you change anything mechanically? And you're like, yo, I'm just trying to be athletic and just not look at anything. Does that mean take it back a little bit to, I don't want to say little kid days, but just not listening to much or studying much and just going out and kind of doing what naturally feels right delivery wise?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a meet in the middle situation. I think like when you go through the same injury year in and year out, you kind of have to figure out something. And I think I just revamped like really like a lot of stuff this offseason, and um, it felt good in the beginning. And I just think like when you make huge changes, your body's not used to something like that, especially when you're trying to throw really hard. So I think it's kind of like a meet in the middle thing. I think trying to overcook what I was doing before and like get really crazy back bend and putting like a ton of strain on my arm probably wasn't the answer. And I think what I did this off season also is probably too far on the other side of the spectrum. So I think a lot of it is eliminating thought pitching and then throughout the week trying to just iron out the things I need to. But when I go out and that like every 5 days, I just got to go out and compete. It's too hard in this league to go out and try to like do a bunch of other stuff. So it is just when I am in between the lines, just try to compete as much as I can and then worry about the other stuff after.
Nice. So you think, hey, it's good to see you, by the way. It's been a minute.
What's up,
I
dude?
always love
Yeah, I
pitching against
know.
you. uh, but no, I got traded over to the Dodgers, and they had a lot of information for me. I was struggling at the time, but you were, dominating, throwing the ball well in Tampa. What are some things that they kind of showed you that, hey, you could do this a little bit this way and this way that added on? And those some of the things you're talking about, maybe pushing too far the wrong way that might have caused some of the injuries to flare up.
Yeah, I think a lot of it like I kind of came over and they were pretty good about like they weren't trying to change much. I think maybe like pitch usage and like maybe some in between week stuff. I think a lot of the changes I made this offseason were just kind of out of my own frustration of always getting hurt. And so I think I just looked at like some talked to a bunch of different people, maybe some biomechanic guys, and like they all had different opinions, but all of the similar things they said I tried to take into the off season. And I just think it felt really good. Like it was designed to make my elbow feel good and it worked. And then my shoulder started hurting. So it just kind of was like, I don't know. It was just one of those situations where I'd rather go out and pitch well and be athletic as opposed to just trying to like figure out a way to keep my elbow healthy. But I think, like I said, if I can go in like the middle ground and find a way to compete and stay healthy and just like take care of all the recovery stuff in between the week, which they have a really good grasp on, and like our training room and strength coach guys are awesome. So I think it was just, I guess, a little halfway thing, I guess, if that makes any sense.
I want to stick on
Well,
this for one more question about mindset. I think what people don't understand is when people go through trials and tribulations in their job or their profession, how hard it really is. Now, for you, you're very strong in your mind. You're very technical. You're analytical. You understand the way you pitch. But can you tell, like the just regular person out there, what is really going on in your mind during all these things, injuries, getting on the mound, having to face some of the best hitters in the world? I do talk about changing things, but how do you keep this in the right location?
I think it definitely is one of those things that comes as you get a routine and you learn yourself and like you go through the ebbs and flows of season, you understand how to navigate like all that up and down. And I think when you add, like for me this year, when you add something else that's like completely brand new, it's just another element of something to think about. And it's like probably a pitcher's worst night, or like just not a pitcher's,
Mhm.
it's not like conducive to being a good pitcher. I think you do what you can during the week and then you try to eliminate thought when you get on the mound. And then if you have all these other external things you're thinking about and all this other added stuff, it makes it a lot harder. But I guess kind of to what you're saying, it's a lot. Like you're trying to navigate how you feel, how the other lineup responds to your stuff, and then all the other things going on. And it is just like a process of elimination and trying to simplify the game as much. And I think in a world where there is a lot of added information, you want to take that and you want to understand it and you want to simplify it. But I think like the ticket for anyone, especially if they're not in like a great place, is just eliminate thought. Go out and play in the backyard and just try to simplify the game as much as you possibly can. Probably for a pitcher and a hitter. I can't speak on what a hitter goes through, but I'm assuming simple is always pretty good.
I'm going to take us in a different direction. A tall dude who has burst on the scene and been talked about a lot so far. I wanted to get your thoughts on Jacob Misiorowski. If you got to see some pitches from him, maybe catch a start from the Miz, and then what were your thoughts on him getting into the All-Star game?
Yeah, he's a freak. I think I saw a quote that their manager said he's just like so green, he's still got the goo on him. He's like a fetus or what. I don't know what he said, but that's what I took from it. And he really, I mean, he moves incredibly well, super long and like he times it up extremely well. And I think for being how young he is, it's really hard to do. And even there's at times that like being a long, kind of hard throwing guy, it is really hard to time up, but it seems like his stuff is really consistent. He always has that like hard slider, sitting 100. Seems like a really good dude. But yeah, I was super impressed when he pitched against us. You think he struck out 12 dudes. His stuff was just electric. And then I guess as far as the All-Star game goes, I think immediate reaction is like 5 games. That's not a ton of time to go into a All-Star game, but I think after like you can't if anyone is in his shoes and he's like that disgusting and then the league asks you to go to the All-Star game, like of course you're going to do it. So no, I don't think anyone can fault him for it. And I also think I heard that like they asked a bunch of guys to go, and I think a lot of guys value the 4 days off, and we're just like I on like a short notice, I don't want to go pitch in the All-Star game. I think a lot of guys like 6 weeks before, like a month before their All-Star break, they're like, all right, what can I do during all? You're thinking about all this time you get off. It's such a long season. It's just hard to like go in and do it. And he was willing to do it. He was fresh, 5 starts, like whatever. And he's nasty. Why not do it again? Who cares?
True. I got 2 questions. I was going to ask this one, but since you brought up the All-Star break, is there something you think we could change for the All-Star break? Maybe give it a week off so all those guys that actually get picked can at least come and show up and pitch for an inning? Because it seems like it's always the pitchers that get screwed out of a nod to be on the All-Star game. What do you think about that, or is that just too far-fetched?
No, I'm down, Stu. A week All-Star break would be amazing. It's such a long season. Like
Yeah.
it's for spring and everything's like 8, 9 months. It's crazy with like, especially if you're in the World Series and the playoffs, it's just such a long time. And I do think that week break, like you can navigate it however you want. If you're a guy who needs to throw, you can go throw plyos or whatever. Take a couple days off, do this, do that. But when you go in, it's because it's not, I think a lot of times too, you need like that emotional or like the mental recharge. And when you go to the All-Star game, it's like home run derby and then all that media. And then you go into the All-Star game and then you have to fly home. So you basically get 1 day off and then you have that workout the day before the break's over. So you get like, it's not like you get penalized for being good, but I think like if you are an All-Star, you end up just like never getting a break. So I do think if you extend it like 3 more days, give it a week to where everybody gets those like that, like 3 day of nothing, that'd be a great idea.
And then the question along the other lines that we were talking about, Clayton Kershaw, what have you learned from him, through injuries and watching how he comes back? And how cool was it growing up watching him and now seeing him getting his 3,000th strikeout?
Yeah, it's honestly one of the most like impressive people I've been around in baseball. I think having him be in that organization for so long, like you can definitely tell. I don't know where the culture was like established, but I think a lot of it is like within him, like the way he goes about his week and the way he just goes about competing. Like he's not only a player, he seems very much like a coach and a front office guy. Like so much revolves around, I think, what he thinks because he's so highly respected. And I think just the mentality of like always go out and try to toe the rubber whenever you can. Don't always have to feel perfect. And like the way he grinds in between the week, like he works extremely hard still. And I think the thing that impresses me the most about him is like the intensity he brings to start day every week. And I think when you play with enough guys from like when they're a rookie to the end of their career, I think like there are a bit of maybe changes. Like you have the intensity or like the nervousness and like that energy is there when you're younger. And I think you learn to like manage it. And then maybe towards the end, you don't have as much fire, I guess, if that's the right word I'm looking for. But like to this day, his routine going into the training room before, like everything he does has been, from what I've heard, like pretty much the exact same as when he was a rookie. And it's not like, I think a lot of people assume that it comes like he's a very talented pitcher, obviously, but I think people assume it's just like an easy thing for him. But like when you see the the like not the stress, but like the intensity that he takes every single fifth day. Like this isn't a walk in the park for him at all. Like this is a very like season is stressful. He's got all like tons of kids. Like he's so good at like being a dad and juggling that, and every single thing he does in his life is very like just good. He does everything at the highest level. So I think just watching someone navigate a season and like a life the way he does is like very, very impressive. I haven't really played with someone as dialed in as him. I played with a lot of really good veterans who do it like their own way, but he's just kind of like he's just a freak.
Did you ever tell him like, "Hey, I watched you as a kid," and make him feel older? Because he got me good when I showed up and said, "Oh, I'm not the greatest starter anymore." So that was. I would hope you gave him a few jabs about being old.
When I first got over there, they asked like, "Who's your favorite player growing up?" And he's like, I don't know, was it 5 years older than me? And I was like, Clayton Kershaw. I used to watch him with my dad in high school, and like Barnes would make so much fun of me, just like, and we are all like locker buddies, and he would just be like, "Hey, remember when you said Clayton was your favorite player?" And he's like kind of your age, and he'd always just like, so I think doing that, like, just being so young and watching him, I think made him feel pretty old, just being like, "You're my favorite player I've watched since I was like a young kid." So he's probably like, "Oh, that's kind of weird," but yeah.
Kratz, what do? I'm in a bind and I need to make some food at home. I would like it to be home cooked, but I don't want to deal with any of the grocery crap.
HelloFresh, get it done. And they'll start to know when you're in a bind, and they'll figure it out for you, sending something new whenever you order it. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it is. And there are dozens of menu items to choose from each week. They can also help you out if you need a little assistance. They can kind of cater to what your needs are or what your preferences are. They'll do a little Q&A session for you, and then you can be the star at home. Kratz is a superstar dad at home for his HelloFresh expertise. And if you want to get involved, then you can make sure that your summer is more enjoyable and delicious at HelloFresh.com/FT10FM. Get 10 free meals with a free item for life when you do that. HelloFresh.com/FT10FM. One per box with an active subscription. Free meals are applied as a discount on the first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan.
One thing I realized when I got over there is the culture that they have there, and you kind of alluded to it with the way Clayton goes about his business and all that. The way that they include everybody, you got so many superstars there. We had the post-series win when everybody was saluted on player of the game and stuff like that. What are the vibes like that when you guys win series and stuff like that? I know that Miggy Rojas always puts on a show for everyone. Is he still holding the court for everybody?
Yeah. We go. So if we win a series, we all group up and we take like a post-game shot, and then if we sweep a series, we do another one after. But yeah, Miggy Rowe is like a huge piece of our team. He's the mic guy. He does our post-game or like series win speeches, and then whoever's like the player of the series will get up, say something, and then they'll pass it on to the next guy to the next series. But that's like a huge thing. I feel like if a team's not doing, they should definitely do. I think I came from Pittsburgh to Tampa, and Kiermaier was a guy in Tampa who did that, and it was very like, I think through the course of like the ups and downs of seasons, like always having a routine to where if you win, like something to celebrate, and like to call guys out for doing well is like essential. And I think seeing that for the first time and then coming to the Dodgers and seeing how like ironed out and like buttoned up it is, and it's just everything seems to like fit in place. And there's like I don't know, I guess a plan for everything. It's like, it's super essential for a winning team. I think just to like celebrate the small wins. And Miggy Rowe is phenomenal on the mic, and I think a lot of people always look forward to the meetings and like the wins after, just to be able to do that.
It's a rut for the team. I mean, it's not going to get covered much on this show because we see the talented roster and they're still clear of first place by several games. It's not like the team's cruising through. The Padres are on the Dodgers' tail. But my question for you is, how do you observe a veteran team like this that is talented, that's been here year after year, go through the balance of a tough stretch and saying, hey, we got to fix this and get it right, but also we probably should just be doing what we've been doing for most of our careers because the organization makes the playoffs?
Yeah, I think there's always like a point in the season where you're in a rut. Like we had one last year when I was here for my first year here. I know in 2017, I think they lost like 11 in a row and then went to the World Series. So I think it's not like a super big panic moment. I think people understand when you're not playing good, it like sucks and it's not as like great in the clubhouse. And I think it's just at this moment, we're not really clicking on like any of the cylinders. And I think it's just kind of like how baseball goes. Like you could be hitting well, not pitching well. Then it flips around. Then the bullpen's dominating and hitting's a little bad or defense. It's just kind of like the ebbs and flows of like things are good, things are bad. And then like it's just I guess like the law of chance or whatever. It's like probability is just like at some point all of them are going to be on a downswing, and it just so happens to be right now. But I guess it makes you realize like when you have bad moments, like when we do start to play good again, it's like it makes you appreciate it a lot more. Like you can't have like the good, happy series win Miggy Rowe speaks like speeches without like I don't know, just like appreciating when it's good and when it's bad. And it's just right now we're just in a rut, but we'll get out of it. It's still we have a lot of baseball left.
Yeah, we're in mid-July. So I'll get
Yeah.
to an Ohtani question here. I mean, obviously we don't get to talk to him. Most people don't. You do. So what do you have for
Yeah.
us on him this year? Like something different with him. We're following what he's doing on the field, but anything different with him or any recent conversations that are worth pointing out? You know, our whole audience is just dying to get something on him because, you know, you just don't get a lot of access. We know he's busy trying to get back to being a 5-6 inning starter while still hitting every day.
I don't know. I think like what are some things? He reads comic books on the flight. Do you guys know that's a thing? I guess. I don't know.
No, I didn't
Maybe
know
you
that.
guys know that. Yeah, he's like he's very like I don't know, like not I don't think he has many distractions going on. Like we'll have like a 5-hour flight and he'll read like comic books the whole time. Like I think he likes the story and the arc and it's kind of interesting to me. I think it's really kind of fascinating for him to just go and like and especially a world of like iPads and TikTok and crazy stuff. He's kind of still going old school comic books, and he just wrote that book, like the Decoy Saves opening day. So like clearly he's doing stuff away from the field. And then the other thing, what else could I say? I think what was impressive to me about he went and pitched his last time, shoved, was like sitting 100, had like a bunch of Ks. Just they had no chance, and I think he went 0 for 4 that day. I think just going up and be like, "Hey man, great job!" Like pitching, he was like, "No, like 0 for 4." I think the standard he holds himself to is extremely impressive. I think it's such a hard thing to do to go out there and pitch multiple innings and then go out and hit. And I think just like I said, I guess the standard he holds himself to where like both of those have to be ironed out for him to feel satisfied is like pretty impressive to me.
Very, very impressive.
Yeah.
Last one
Yeah.
here. Saw you were at the ESPYS front row next to Freeman there. You got some
Yeah.
when there Shane Gillis was doing the monologue that showed you a little bit. You were laughing, had a good time. Talk to us about that. How cool was that?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, like I knew when I heard Shane was hosting, I was like, I gotta go. And it's in LA, like I have to somehow get there. And I kind of knew it was gonna be a little like a crazy moment on the mic just because he's that type of comic. And I've always loved comedy, like my whole life. Me and my family have always been like really big fans of whatever. Like the more vulgar, the better, I think. Just because comedy is kind of that thing. If you can laugh about it, like any you can make anything funny. And I think there's like really no rules. So I loved it. I heard he was hosting and I went, me and my wife went and sat there and it was incredible. It was a little, I think in the moment and like, especially being there with a lot of the front row section was like a ton of athletes and like a pretty good amount of like WNBA players. So it was a little tense when he was making all those jokes, but I think it was like good spirited. Like he was just, I don't know. I think if I was a WNBA player, I'd be a little annoyed, I guess, but it's just, you kind of know what you're going to get with him. And like, if you go watch Tires or any of his stand-up specials, like that's what you're going to get. And I think ESPN was just like, oh, let's
Of
get the
course.
ratings and the clicks and stuff after. But he did a really good job. And I think too, sitting there watching, like having to perform as a baseball player and then relating that to him having to go up and perform. And I listened to his podcast before too. And like, he'll talk about like how nervous he is before. And I just think he killed it. He like went up and did a good job. And I think to go up there and say all that crazy shit is it's crazy. It's like, it's got to be pretty nerve wracking. So, I mean, it was a really good time. And it was just nice to see like all those athletes and like people go up and speak and perform and anything like that, like award shows, especially like with athletes. It was a super good time. And I mean, I would do it again. It was awesome.
It's ballsy, even though that's his job. So I got one follow-up for you. You know, he's doing this for his career. He's done a billion stand-ups. But but this one's different. You're in front of the top athletes on the planet, and he's a big sports fan. So my
Yeah.
question is, do you think that most athletes in the room that you're around know the gist of how comedians operate and how he specifically operates? It might sound like a dumb question for someone like you who's paying attention to his career, someone like me, but I wasn't there. So I would love to read the room and be like, do they understand that he is an unhinged comedian and he is brought here to do just that? And I mean, whatever you believe his beliefs are, like, he genuinely is paid to just like stir the pot. That is his job, and it's accepted.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people know of him, they do, and then the people that don't know of him are probably like, well, I didn't sign up for this. Like, I'm sure there's a little bit of both, but I think like if where's any sort of concern or like how, I mean, if there are people that work, like you can figure it out. Like you're like, all right, Shane Gillis is hosting. You know what I mean? Like you can draw the line to like see kind of how he is. But I'm sure there were some people that don't know anything about Shane Gillis and were like, whoa, that's pretty gnarly. But I think that the ESPYs have had kind of a history of doing like some crazy hosts. What's this? Norm Macdonald did it a while ago. So I think it's not like, so it's been done before, so it wasn't crazy. I think it's just kind of how it is. And like there's even like the other award shows, like Ricky Gervais says like crazy shit. It just kind of, it is what it is. And like I don't know. I just think it's in the world of comedy too. It's like I just don't think there are really any rules, and that's what's good about it, in my opinion. Like it's just, if you laugh, it's funny. And I understand it can be like offensive sometimes, especially people who don't know or like didn't sign up for it. It's probably a little shocking. But it is what it is. I mean, ESPN made the decision, and I think it was good. I don't know about like the ratings and stuff. It was a little tense in the room, like I said. I got a lot of people, I don't know if like laughed as hard as people did at home, but I think it probably worked out for them ratings wise.